In my yesterday's YouTube video, I gave you my favorite short signal. I showed you why it works. I showed you how often it works. I showed you how to see it in the charts. Showed you that it was getting ready to happen. Mentioned it's getting ready to pull back, high probability, and it's going to hit this target. The target has been hit. Price is actually in the target zone right now, although it did dip below it. So if you missed that video and you want to learn a great short signal, right here, click that link right there. It's very good free information. Also, I will link it to you at the end so you don't have to leave this video. You can wait till the end and then watch that. So let's dive into the charts to figure out, does this bearish interaction with the target, because it actually blew through it and now it has used it as resistance, but it's still right in my target. The way price is interacting right now, does that change my outlook on the daily? Because the daily is saying this move has permission to creep up to 33 to 35. Does the way this pulled back change my outlook is the question for today. You're going to have to stay tuned. And if you like what you see, hit that damn thumbs up video and make sure you're subscribed, put on all alerts so you stay in the know. Let's get this chart. All right. Disclaimer, just because my TA has been pretty, like, at least this one, it was this fairly wizard hatchery type of stuff. Put my wizard hat back on. That does not mean you know how to make money from it. To prove a point here, so when I say something, that doesn't mean you go out and click around with your money. I'm not teaching you how to trade. I'm showing you analysis. Trading and analysis are different things. I'm getting Twitter comments and YouTube comments. So I got a Twitter comment today saying, ooh, I watch you every day, but man, this one hurt. I bought back. So I shorted and then, something about bought back at 30,500. Well, my targets were the 1 hour 200 EMA. And in that video, I mentioned it's actually going to go below it. So you don't need to tell me it hurts you about my analysis, because first off, for example, you bought over where I said it was going to pull back to and lower. So, and because I give analysis, first off, it doesn't mean, did you watch it twice to make sure you didn't miss anything? Because that person clearly missed something. The fact that I said, this is my target around here, the 1 hour 200 EMA, and it's probably going to go below it. But even if you listen perfectly and understand everything perfectly, that doesn't mean you can make money from it. To prove a point even more, I traded this wrong. Abysmally. Badly. I got faked out from traditional markets at the beginning of the day. This moved up exactly with traditional markets at the very beginning of the day, and traditional markets screamed right down after faking out to the upside. It even had a breakout. No 4 hour candle closure or anything, but it had a strong breakout. It was compelling on the short-term time frames, and Bitcoin went up with it, and bam. So I had shorts in from here to here, and I allowed myself I actually manually stopped out, took the fees, very small loss, but to go from, let's just say negative 100, okay, to let's say 1,000, the difference between that is 1,100, right? It's not just $1,000 of lost opportunity cost for my profit target. So I missed out a lot. I traded this pretty badly. I didn't necessarily, from my entry here specifically, I didn't necessarily lose a lot of money, but the difference of being small negative to decent positive is big. It's bigger from going from 0 to missing out on 1,000, right? Yeah, it's a bummer. So I even traded it wrong, even though Bitcoin is literally behaving exactly the way I've anticipated. So don't try to take my YouTube stuff and think that I am telling you, this is how you make money from it. This is saying how a price will move. That does not mean you're going to learn how to trade it. So if trading is something interesting to you, then check out the Discord community. And if you don't have time to join a Discord community, then the YouTube tiers will be for you. I do give a little bit of extra information, not in depth on how to set stops or anything like that, but you can click the join button right below this video, and a video will pop up describing what those tiers are to you. And make sure you follow me on Twitter. And again, make sure you're hitting that like button and subscribe if you're new. Now, what I said in that video is I don't know if the daily signal on the RSI will have any change until price interacts with my target. The 1 day RSI is still on top of its EMA, which is this white line. This white line right here. See, that's the EMA. When it's on top, it's generally good. This is just a completely normal pullback. Look at this. It could go be red another whole day, tick below it, and then come up and keep marching, right? And last week, actually, it must have been somewhere around May 19th. Yeah, or no, yeah, 19th of May. I made a video saying this move, because you have multiple, a higher low, higher low than that, higher lows, is probably May 20th or so. I mentioned you're not going to get a pullback most likely until the daily chart hits its head on the red or white line or somewhere in between. What has happened a week later? It hit its head on it. We have a pullback. However, the move in general is still intact. Look at this. It's still on top. It keep going like this, and it could go straight up to 37K. It's potential. Like, it's still okay to happen. Now, let's go look at the small term time frames. I also mentioned I have to wait to get a piece of information before I can determine if I'm going to take some probabilities away from that daily chart until my target is hit, which is this battle line. Actually, they're right on top of each other, really. But the 1 hour 200 EMA from last video was my target, and I mentioned very specifically it's going to go below it, right? It's going to go below it, which it did. Popped right back up to it, got rejected again. And I mentioned the core thing in that video was I'm going to analyze how price reacts to the 1 hour 200 EMA. Will it come to it and wick below it, immediately get above, use it as support? If so, I'm going to start taking longs. If it goes below it, use it as resistance, I would short. So after you saw it come above, make a higher low, and then hit it as resistance and tick down somewhere there, would that have been a good short? Absolutely. That's a very tradable short for a daily trade. $2. 2.7% raw price. That doesn't mean you hit the whole move, but you could get 2% of that 2.7. Very tradable with 2%, right? Following along so far? All right. Now, this is actually pretty damn bearish on the very short-term time frames. But even though, am I describing why this is bearish accurately? Okay, because you didn't get a bullish reaction to the target. This was about as bearish as it can get. It blew through the target, both the battle line from last week. This line is the weekly open candle. So the candle of last week, of the weekly candle, that's where it opened. And that was the battle line of all last week. It was the frontline battle. Price went below both of them, used both as resistance, and went down. And now is going back into this range. It looks like it might want to spill over into this range. That is a bad bearish reaction. That's almost as bad as you can get. So that itself implies that this line right here will be hit before a potential sustained bounce, because price also busted through the next support down, which if I zoom out is a double-decker trading channel. And because that happened, because it went below, it's likely going to come up, make a lower high, then come down, hit this line. That's what the short-term time frames are saying. Total disagreement with the daily. Or is it? Remember when I said earlier, you could have another red day and the move up is still potentially, or it's still in the charts that it could easily move up? Therefore, the daily signs, the daily RSI particularly, that signal is still saying bullish. But in the meantime, you have permission to stay bullish on the daily, but to come down for a couple days, which means what might look like big moves on the 5-minute chart, right? It looks like 2%. Wow, that's huge. It is actually. I like to trade 2% moves. I make plenty of profit from that. So it is kind of big for me. However, on the daily, it's not. These charts are not in disagreement. They actually agree. That target that I just showed you could easily be hit. And on the daily RSI, all that would be a couple red days. So this day ends in 40 minutes. It'd just be, or even a doji green day, one that comes up here. Yeah, doji red, something like that. 2 red days. And even if that happens, the daily RSI will only do something like this. It'll tick below the EMA and still have permission to go like this, upward and onward. And it would go just below that EMA right here. Does that decrease the chances that Bitcoin does charge up to 35K? Absolutely. When you go below it, it decreases the chance a little bit, but on the downside, it pops above it all the time. See how that green goes above that white squiggly line? Goes above it all the time, continues in its direction. So this direction means it's bouncing on it right now. So just to go below it a little bit, and it went below it here. I mean, look. It went below it here, continued. Went below it here, continued. Went below here, continued. Right? Therefore, the very short-term time frames are still kind of bearish. The daily is moderately bullish, not like crazy bullish, but it's a little bullish. That sounds like they don't agree, but they actually do. The daily has permission to be 1 hour chart or 5 minute chart bearish for a little bit, and then but still continue being bullish. Does that make sense? Even though they're opposites and they disagree, but they actually agree because there's permission to do that baked into the daily, what the daily can do and still be bullish, right? Am I making sense? So the meshing of time frames can like bend your mind. For example, if you ever start, the first time, maybe you were, I don't know how old you were, but imagine the first time you learned about space travel and time warps. For a lot of people, especially if you're not a science person, you learned about it with that movie Interstellar. I knew about it since I was like 12. I read, what's it called? Elegant Universe by Brian Greene, I think. Very crazy. Anyway, but so that's what time frames are like. So remember the moment you've learned how crazy time can work. Well, time frames is time. Time is weird, and it's mind-bending once you start understanding that the 5 minute chart and the 1 hour chart, it could totally disagree from the daily, but while it disagrees, it actually agrees as well. Yeah, time frames are a little nutty, but once you study it long enough, those weird concepts like that, they actually become sensical. I totally promise. All right, therefore, on this chart, it kind of looks like, if I had to make a couple guesses, I'm only going to make a guess for the next 24 to 48 hours. I'm guessing it could work its way down here. Actually, I will make it more professional. How far out was that? All right, so that's a day, almost exactly. So that was a good guess. That's almost exactly 24 hours. That's one guess. Two guesses. Let me make it a different color. And this is the type of stuff that I do early in the morning for both my Discord and YouTube tiers. Like I give them, here, I'll just show you. Watch. This is why you're missing out. If you're trying to learn this stuff, I mean, being part of the community is really going to help you out. Give me a quick second. I'll show you that I drew stuff out and almost exactly what I drew played out. I mean, although I gave three options, but daily updates. There we go. There's a daily update. That is from May 30th. See how I drew that blue one popped up and then come back down straight to the top of the double decker trading channel. You see that? So I only gave two options, and the blue one it actually went a little higher than that. It went about $500 higher, but still the idea that it popped up before coming down. That's exactly what happened. And I gave this days ago, right? 2.5 days ago, earlier in the day. See that? So if you want the stuff earlier as opposed to wait, because I'm going to start doing YouTube videos tonight. I mean, I provide that earlier in the day for any tier on Discord, but also the Cryptillion tier for the YouTube viewers. Again, the join button's right below this video. I think I need to give 3 here. Oh, and can you tell what this blue one is? What is it from here? So from this point to this point, what is that? If you ignore this guy here, what is that? So you can see roughly, I'm not just drawing lines. I'm thinking about whales because price is literally being controlled by people pulling strings who are connected to traditional finance, right? Okay, so what would they do to make more money on futures to trick people? Inverse head and shoulders, fake out, breakout, bam, straight back down, continue chopping sideways. See that? So I'm anticipating that they're going to do a baby mini bull trap before slamming it back down exactly where it was, back to this line. Just how in that update I mentioned that I think it'll spike up and come straight to this green line. It's the same green line, although I think I made it not dotted. It's the same line. And I drew that 2 days ago before it spiked up the second time, right? Even anticipating the spike up. So this is kind of how my brain is working. I'm trying to anticipate, especially what would natural price do? Natural price would be more like this. Whales would do this. And because they did a fake out to the upside, once they release their grip on what's going on, natural price, the natural market, mass market psychology won't bring it down this far because they won't be as bearish because it made a higher, actually 1 or 2 higher local highs. Therefore, so they would let go of their algos or just like stop the fake out after, or actually stop the fake out here because they'd have to get it to turn negative. They would have to bring it down here to cascade a bunch of stops and then so actually to here. So once that happens, it wouldn't go down as low as for example, natural price because it went up a little higher first. Does that make sense? So this is so what I'm drawing here is what would happen if whales in traditional finance weren't pissing around with Bitcoin. And this is a whale game that I anticipate could easily happen. And then a third option. I would say a third option is going to be similar to this, but yeah, it's going to take at least a day to figure stuff out before it can continue its move up. It's not going to be a V-shape. I don't think it's going to get above this structure within 24 hours. It might get up into it, similar to this red right here. It gets up into it, but it's not going to get above this horizontal in the next 24 hours. I don't think that's in the cards. Yeah, like that. In 48 hours, I think it could. But we're really going to have to identify how does price. And so now let me put on, when in doubt, put on the 1 hour 200 EMA. Let's put that sucker on. Now, how's this 1 hour 200 EMA going to be interacting? Let's see if it aligns with anything. So if I can make it go here, 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 something like that. Boom. Everything interacts with it. The red one goes above it and essentially tries to come back down and use it as support. So the pink or whatever touching the orange. So let's move that one. And move that one. The blue one, it toys around with it and can't make up its mind essentially because it's a fake out. So move the blue one. And the more bearish one, it comes up to it, gets rejected. And that high is a lower high than that. It breaks down and has no hope of short-term time frame traders seeing inverse head and shoulders. I'm longing on BitMax, right? None of that. And therefore it just breaks down to this next level. But it still interacts with this line, the 1 hour 200 EMA. They all do. See that? And I didn't anticipate that happening, but I just knew it would because it just does do this. See that? I would say over the next 24 hours, those are your 3 most likely. Do I have a favorite one? Probably the blue one, because I already know traditional Fi is completely controlling Bitcoin price. right now. So they're gonna they're gonna do fake out after trap after trap after trap after trap. Which if you're anticipating, you can make money from it. But they trapped me today. This made a huge difference in my day, like over $1,000 difference, like thousands. Unfortunately, it's not to say I lost thousands from it, but it made a difference. It made a big difference. Yeah, I got, but it looked really compelling. Woo! It was really IXIC was really compelling. Or was it IXIC? Yeah, it was IXIC. Yeah, look at this. It was clearly breaking out. I mean, this was a strong move at the time, and that's when I closed my shorts. And then kablam! And then Bitcoin went down exactly. And if you don't believe me, zoom in to the hour. 9:55. When did Bitcoin fall? At 10 o'clock, right there. 5 minutes later, almost so 1 5-minute candle difference. It's all set. So I would actually guess the blue one because I already know that the big players are pissing around with Bitcoin price, just essentially washing out over leveraged people, and that's what's happening right now. What else? So therefore, after we can see how price interacts yet again with the 1 hour 200 EMA, then you're going to be able to guess which of those three price paths is then the most probable. Am I making sense? So a lot of people don't understand the value in my showing you the three most likely price paths for how I see it, which it's usually my top three guesses, one of them happens. The vast majority of times when I guess three. A lot of times I only guess two, and then if I had drawn a third, the third one happened, but I don't do it on YouTube, so I need to start drawing three. But here's the value in it. I'm showing you the three most likely price paths, but also letting you know that the way price interacts with this exact thing, that's how you can start to tell as price gets closer to that one thing, the 1 hour 200 EMA. You can then start getting more information on, ooh, it looks like it's going to be the bright pink one. Or, ooh, it got rejected. It's probably that orange one that went straight down. Does that make sense? So I'm not just giving three guesses and saying, there you go, have fun, kids. No. It's like, like an adult, like opening up a package of cookies and just throwing them on the floor. There you go, kids, have fun. And then goes to take a nap, right? I'm babysitting. No, I'm not doing that. I'm showing you how to determine which one becomes more probable as the price hits that orange line, the 1 hour 200 EMA. Does that make sense? Now, in a nutshell, what was the overall consensus of my outlook of the daily versus short-term timeframes? How would you summarize it? Think about it. Throughout this whole time, what have I been saying? The daily still has permission to have another red day, hit that target, and still be bullish. But the small-term timeframes are looking pretty bad. It didn't look good. But the daily's a little stronger. So what I'm saying is, had price come down, let me get rid of these three. And I'll post these to Twitter. I'll put those back and post them to Twitter and YouTube, just public for you. Anyway, because it'll look similar to one of my daily updates, but a lot of times I have a lot more information on that, just showing people how to interpret and why. But anyway, once price interacts with this, you're going to be able to tell a better thing. However, or going to be able to tell better. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. The daily versus the 1 hour. Although the daily still has in it to be bullish, even if price comes down to here, you're going to know whether or not the small time frames are going to overpower the daily as it continues interacting with this line. So over time, even if it comes down here and then interacts back with this line and then gets rejected again and makes a lower local low, that would seal the deal that the small term time frames overpower the daily. The daily's done. The daily's going to, let me go back to the daily chart. That something like that, a couple rejections would mean that the daily is getting ready to break below its EMA and stay below it like this. That would seal the deal. And let me make it green. I'm trying to teach you how to do this, folks. Like, you know, and I'm trying like this and make that white. Okay. The way price interacts with that, you're going to be better able to tell if the short-term time frames are going to overpower. But as of now, I didn't mean to do that. As of now, the 1 hour only takes away a little of the probability. So the small-term time frames are only taking away some probability that this keeps marching upward and onward. But it doesn't take enough of the daily oomph to make it improbable yet. Does that make sense? So that is the summary. It hurts the chances of 33 and 35K happening, but it didn't hurt it so bad that it's off the table. That's literally a summary of this analysis, in addition to showing you 3 most likely price paths and how to deal with them, how to better pick which one will happen as price moves forward. And that's your analysis. And I am getting a little stress from people commenting, oh, I did this because you said, and money that. No, my TA is not a call to action for you to click around with your money. If you want to do that, you can jump on the Discord community or join a trading community, whether it's in crypto or not. Trading and TA, totally different. You just got Timified worldwide. Here are those videos that I promised earlier, popping up over that way. If you want to see that short signal that I explained, and then another really important trading tips for futures, Timified worldwide, out of here.